I haven't knocked anything. I haven't touched anything, but it looks like it's... what did it look like before?
Like that, the way you've got it.
Hi, please, don't touch anything. Just log out if you feel like you've touched anything. Okay, great. This is great. And no one touches anything right now. Okay, thank you so much. So let's start. I'm gonna turn on my camera and we are going to get ahead with the presentation. All right. Hi, everyone. I hope that you can see me. My name is Therese and I work for Kuranova TV. I'm very happy to be here with you today and to have this seminar with you. So first off, I'm just going to give in some information. So I have a colleague that's going to be here with, I have two colleagues actually with me that are going to take care of the questions that we are going to get in, or the questions that you guys might have about the seminar. The second part is that this seminar is being recorded, but don't worry, as long as you don't have your camera on, you won't be in the picture. But you are free to ask any questions in the chat and my colleagues will answer. I also want to set a disclaimer that the presentation is written in Swedish, but I will do it in English. And the reason to why we do that is also for people that are non-Swedish speaking to get familiar with words that are common when it comes to job seeking. All right. If you have any questions, please. There's someone that has their microphone on. Please turn it off. I will try to remind you. Turn the microphone off if you have your microphone on. Thank you very much. So welcome to today's seminar about reaching out to employers. So reaching out to employers might be really hard if you don't speak Swedish, or in general, if you are Swedish speaking, reaching out is a situation that some people don't feel comfortable with. We know how it is when you have to call and you're not prepped. So during this seminar, I'm gonna show you how you can be more prepared into meeting Swedish employers, all right? And I will try to let in Anna and Per, my colleagues, and I hope that they can present themselves for a quickie, just so that you guys know.
Yes, so, hello. My name is Anna, and I will follow your questions and everything, and I will say them to Therese later. I'm not the best on English, but I have my colleague Per here.
Hi everyone. We'll try to help you as much as we can with your questions.
Yes.
Great. So I'm just going to continue. Thank you so much, dear colleagues. Someone has taken control over something again. Please do not touch the... Oh, okay. I think it's quite a problem here. You know what? I will share another one instead, and I will just try to... Sorry, so we're having troubles with Microsoft Teams, and it seems like from now on, people can actually access the system, which is not really great. So bear with me. If anyone takes the control, please just bear with me and I will try and put it up again, okay? So if you are new, if you just joined, don't touch anything on the PowerPoint. Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so the goals with today's seminar is to know how to make contact, what are the pros, what are the cons, knowing how to do it and how to write or how to contact, and also give you some tips on what that might look like. So as you know, there's many ways to contact people. You can call, you can email, you can knock doors, not in Corona times, please, but still, or you can use their websites and social media. So other social medias would be, for example, LinkedIn. Many companies use Facebook and Instagram, so it's really good to be on Facebook and Instagram. Specifically when it comes to LinkedIn and stuff, you can always go into the company, and remember the companies always want to brag about what they do, so you know how that is going to fit you, okay? And try to find a phone number. So when you find a company, let's say the company is called bakery.com, you want to find who the specific person that has the responsibility of hiring is. So let's say it's Joanne or Jamila that have the responsibility of hiring. That's the person you want to contact. Sometimes you get to the point where you get to the reception or someone else, and at that time you still need to ask for the person that's responsible for hiring, because you don't want to go around and lose your time. Time is money, as people say. So yes, calling, that's the first. A lot of people think it's nerve-wracking. A lot of people think it's very, very hard to call. But sometimes hearing a voice is the best way to do it, and it puts you forward. So when is it good to call? It's good to call before you apply and ask questions about the company. You always want to know something about the company that you're applying for. Just as much as you want the job, they want people to work for them. I know it's hard to think about that, but it is the case. Companies want to be attractive to people so that they can get the best candidates possible for their specific service. It's also good to call after you have applied. Do not call 2 or 3 days after. That's too soon for the company, especially during a pandemic where people are really competing about a job. You want to give them a certain amount of time. Let's say a week is perfect. So if you hand in your application on a Monday, then the Monday after that, you can call and ask if they've received your application or anything else. And also you can call just to know. Some people have competence, they have an interest within a specific area of work, and they want to know more. I know that the pandemic has also made people very aware of what they would like to do, or like just re-evaluating everything that they've done before. And it can be good to just call companies to know, what do you do? And is there anything that interests me within your company? Do we have any questions yet? No?
No, no, nothing yet. It was just Graham who wrote earlier that you have to speak Swedish to get a job, he thinks.
Okay, so I will get to that very soon.
Yep.
Right.
Then we can carry on.
Okay, then. Or actually, I will get to that right away, because I think people think about that. Yes, obviously, if you live in Sweden, employers prefer for you to speak Swedish, but there are employers that are welcoming English-speaking people. What I usually tell to people that are English-speaking or non-Swedish speakers is that Swedish as a language is your currency. You want to trade with the Swedish language, even though you don't speak perfect Swedish. All your free time should go on learning how to speak Swedish if you're planning on creating a life in Sweden. It is a sign of trust, even though employers might be comfortable with speaking English. It's also about how you will interact with the whole company and if you will understand instructions. So it is a very hard requirement to reach when you can't learn the language fast enough. But there are some companies that will still take in English speaking people because they value their work and the way that they provide, give more importance to the company. All right, so I'm just gonna, let's see where I am. sorry. So before the call, you want to read more about the company. You want to choose the right time. So that's why it's very important to call before and ask if there is a certain time where they're not available. So usually if you call and you say, hi, my name is, and I would like to apply for a job, depending on the employer, they might say, oh no, right now is not a great time, I'm very busy, or they're in the middle of reporting or in the middle of closing a deal. You don't know what's going on in the company. So the first thing that you need to do is, whether you use emails or call, you want to ask them what the best time to call is, because that gives you time to plan what you're going to say, but it also gives them time to be receptive of what you're going to say. Okay, it's really good to know who you're speaking to. And the last one, my personal favorite, is to do a manuscript. A manuscript, for those who don't know, is you want to write down the things that you want to bring up during that conversation. Because usually when you talk to an employer, they might have 10 to 15 minutes. So you need to have a pitch or a manuscript that makes you comfortable enough. I do manuscripts all the time when I apply for jobs, not only because it makes me more prepared, but because sometimes I might get nervous and actually need a manuscript to fall back on. There's nothing wrong with being nervous when you call or when you email or when you talk with an employer. My best tip is also to say that hi, I'm looking for a job, but right now I'm a little bit nervous. There's nothing about it, but that's how it is. I still want to present my case to you. Because when you've spoken about the elephant in the room, then you don't need to worry, because if you act nervously, they will know that you're just being nervous and nothing else. And it's just for the first time. So be kind to yourself when you're applying. You don't need to be perfect during your application time, but you need to have the courage and believe in yourself that you are able to actually present yourself in the manner that is needed. And you only do that through preparation, okay? Yes, so basically the goal about, the goal around the conversation is actually to market yourself. And it's very important. People forget that you need to market yourself. You don't only want to go there and say that you need a job. You want to tell them what problems you're going to solve for them. You want to tell them what your vision is. You want to have something that's very brief, not too much, not too little. Where you just have like, my name is this, I can do this, and I would want to do this and that for your company. And also you want to sell your skills. You're not a private person when you work for a company anymore. You are representing the company, and therefore you want to incorporate your private skills in a way that benefits the company. So that's what you're putting forward, right? Okay. Sorry, it feels like, yeah, right. So I had a lot of, there we go. Does anyone have access? Is anyone touching the screen again? If you're touching the screen, please don't. Okay, so let's see. I don't have access to the screen, Anna. Anna, I don't have access to the screen.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't done anything else
now.
Neither.
Okay, so I got the access back, so I'll just...
You got the access back. Good, good.
So I'm so sorry for the technical problems. We don't know why it is, but please bear with us. Thank you. So you want to present yourself. You want to sell yourself. You want to ask questions during the conversation. Let's say that you get to go to the interview, or the employer actually gives you an opportunity to present yourself. What do you want to say? So for example, you don't want to be too personal. I usually say you can be personal but private, meaning that you could say that, hi, my name is Therese. I have 5 kids. Yes, I have 5 kids. I'm married, blah, blah, blah. But I've worked with this and this and this and that, right? Yeah.
No, it just disappeared. The PowerPoint.
Okay.
Please don't touch anything because it will be problem for us. So just listen and stay calm.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and get it back, and hopefully we will get back. So I know maybe some of you are trying to just understand what's going on and maybe read through the PowerPoint, but just bear with us and wait until we get there. This is not a very busy PowerPoint. It's not a lot of pages, so that's great. So I'm gonna go to the next slides. Okay. Right, so I think I'm back where I actually ended, so we'll see. Do you guys still see the PowerPoint? Please type in the comments so I know.
Yes, we can see it. So
okay, great.
Yep.
Great. So as I was saying, you want to present yourself, sell yourself, and ask questions. So personal, but not private. You don't want to tell everything about your life, but you want to tell them what is relevant about your life in relations to the company. So if this is a sporting company, for example, if they sell sporting goods, you want to tell them that you might have a family or you don't have a family and that you have a huge interest in sports. That's personal, but you're not being private. You want to sell in yourself. So for example, if you still are interested in sports, you want to tell them about the times maybe you ran a marathon, or maybe the times where you volunteered somewhere where they had work stuff that were really related to the store. Also, you do want to ask companies questions. And that goes back to what I was saying about not being nervous or being nervous. Because when you are nervous, you always just want to tell them so much about you. You just want to tell them whatever they need to know, and then you're done. And then you catch your breath. What you need to do is take time as you were doing your research in the beginning, as I was saying, read about the company, look at their social media, and look at their website and such. You also want to use that information to ask questions. What does a normal day look like in this place or at this company? How are the colleagues? How is the team? If it's a small team, how would you describe the team? How would you describe the personalities in the team? Because that shows that you are trying to understand how you would fit in this company for them, and that you want it to be a great match. Obviously, there is ways to make it more appealing to the employer, and that's why you need to tell them more about yourself, right? So I'm just, do we have any more questions? No?
No, I've been busy with writing here. I will look here. No, it's about the PowerPoint. Graham asks if you should ask them how much the pay is or not.
Yes and no. They usually ask you how much you want to be paid. Normally, in your process of doing your research, you need to do research about the specific work that you're doing. So let's say you are going to work as a warehouse employee that doesn't have experience. You need to look for that. And the best way to do that is There's someone that has their mic on. Please turn it off. So through your union or through Google, you can find what the regular pay is, and you can wait until they ask you. So at the end of the interview, I would say you want to ask that question. What are you willing to pay? But not during your presentation. You don't want that question to shadow whatever positive you've said about yourself, okay? And you always want to ask them to give you space to come back with answers if there's anything that you don't understand or if there's anything that they're saying about the pay. A serious employer will always tell you the pay. So a serious employer will always present a certain amount that they think is great. And you, in your turn, either you choose to accept that offer or that amount, or you come with a counter amount and maybe you will agree on a middle ground. Yes? All right. So how to take care of what do you call it? Back answers. So if you, for example, if you call a company and they're like, oh no, I just hired someone 2 weeks ago. We don't need anyone. We don't need to hire. Or send in your resume. We usually take in 50 people. Or the correct one, the one that might hurt a little bit, is the one where they tell you, I don't have time. So if the person does not have time, what do you do? So the best thing to do is just like a normal conversation with a friend or with a family member or with a colleague. If someone says that they don't have time and you think that the topic is important, what do? You ask them when you can come back or when it better suits them. So don't be shy from doing that, even though it might take you back a little bit because you were already prepared to just sell yourself. Sometimes the employer might answer in a way where you just lose ground and you lose stability, but you just need to pick yourself up again. So if someone says, I don't have time, oh, okay, is there a better time that I could come back? Or is there an email or another form that you prefer? For example, me with my participants, because I am in calls all day, they cannot reach me through my phone or through calling. They need to email me. And what's great with emails for me is that I can always flag the emails and go through them when I'm going through my administrative time. I really, really appreciate that. And I appreciate that they respect that and that they actually follow what works best for me. So bluntly ask what works for you and how can I get access to you during that time, right? So the next one is, we do not have need for employment right now or employees. What you do is that you just ask them, do you have any plans on hiring someone new in the near future? Can I submit a CV or for future recruitment needs? So the reason why you also need to do your research, this is really great. So let's say you go into LinkedIn, you have a company that tells you, yes, you have great qualifications, but right now we're not hiring, which is happening now during the pandemic. When you go through LinkedIn or a company, you can see what their needs are, okay? So you can see what they've been working on. They can say, a company might be saying, we're working with environmental aspect. We're looking forward to being more environmental. If you have that competence, you could literally tell them, oh, I went through your social media or your website, and I see that you plan on taking on a certain route when it comes to environmental issues. I have that competence and I have that knowledge. Is it possible for me to contact you again when it's going to be more accurate? And then you ask questions about that. So when do you plan on embarking on this journey of being more environmental friendly or being more sustainable? Is there a specific plan? And they might say, oh, right now we're being busy because we really we had to let go a lot of people, but it looks like we're trying to get on the sustainability train around June this year. So send in your CV again, or send in an email telling them that, right, we spoke a couple of months ago and you were talking about the sustainability, and now I know that you were planning on embarking on this journey in July or in June. Is it possible for me to do that? Or is it possible for me to hand in my CV and my recommendations? Okay. And then sometimes they say we use a recruitment company, which happens a lot because hiring and recruiting is very, very time consuming. And some companies don't have the knowledge, or they don't have the time, and they don't think that it's profitable for them to do recruitment. So what they do is that they recruit or they use a recruitment company. What do you do in that moment? You ask for the name of the recruitment company. And if they say, oh, we use Lernia, for example, then you go into Lernia and then you register your profile. And maybe in your personal letter, you write that you got the number or the tip from this and this company, and you would really like to apply. Another thing to do is also to be relentless in your research. You have to find 1 or 2 people that are responsible for the recruitment of specifically this job. And the only way that you do that is to call and call and call, or sometimes they write it in the advert for the job. And so you can contact them to make a better case for you. Okay, any questions?
Yes, we have a question. Rabia wonder if how long will the presentation be when he talks about himself?
Oh, so you usually say that you want to keep your presentation about yourself between 3 to 5 minutes. I would say 3. If you can time yourself in 3, that would be great, because you just want to catch the employer's interest and then show your skill as you are asking questions or as they're asking you questions. Because if you start with telling them everything in the beginning, what happens is that you're answering all the questions and the interview will end very quickly. So 2-3 minutes, between 2 minutes and 5 minutes. But I would say the best one would be around 3 minutes, right? Anything else?
Yes, Graham had a question too. He writes this, back answer. Do you mean reply? I think it's about the word back answer.
Sorry. I had like a
it's the same as reply.
Yeah, I had a glitch because I speak a lot of languages, so I was trying to find the word. But yes, it's about the reply. So when you call and they're telling you, oh, I don't have time, or we're not hiring and stuff like that, that's the reply that I meant. Thank you so much, whoever said it to me.
Great. And we have a question from Ebby. You can, shall we take this question live now, or should we wait?
Yeah, we can take them now because I want to create a break for questions.
Hello, Therese. Good morning. I just heard you say that there are English-speaking companies or companies that prefer English-speaking employees. Could you or would you have the possibility of sharing a pool of data of such companies, or could we go through you and search such companies?
Right. So this is a question for your coach, your Kuronova coach in whatever city that you're in. Mm-hmm. Because the recruitment companies and the companies around, they have great. Someone's. Please turn off the microphone because it's coming.
I'm looking inside.
Let's see. Yes. So now it sounds better. Sorry. So this is a question for you and your coach. So ask your coach for companies that they think might need English-speaking employees, and also look through LinkedIn. If the If the ad is in English, they're probably welcoming English-speaking people. If the ad isn't, you just need to write that you speak Swedish on whatever level that you're doing, and that you prefer to communicate in English. But sometimes most people understand more Swedish that they can speak, and so you will try to find that. So ask your coach in the cities that you are, because they're different. In Stockholm, maybe it might be more open, or you might find more people that need English-speaking employees, and also it depends on the work area. So IT, for example, might be more open to having people that speak English, because a lot of IT language is in English. Whereas maybe if you're doing CNC operator, they need for you to understand the machine if it's programmed in Swedish. So that's a way. Another way to get into a company, if you're not confident with your language, is to ask for an internship. You can always ask for an internship to show what you're capable of, and also how you work, for them to understand. Because it's not only about the language, it's about the cultural differences when it comes to working that employers need to feel comfortable around. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, thank you, Therese. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, so the next part is, what do you do after the call? Number one is to be available. I always tell this to my participants, because they tell me, oh, I don't answer numbers that I don't know. If you are unemployed, you answer all numbers that you don't know, especially if you apply for jobs regularly. You also want to follow up with an email if they've chosen to go forward without you, with someone else. So usually when you apply, you get a response: thank you for applying to our company. We will review your application documents and get back to you. And then it takes a couple of weeks, and for some people it takes months, and then you will get a no thank you email. What you can do there, this is a great opportunity to get feedback from on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. That's why it's very important when you go to the interview to really catch the person that's interviewing you, their name, their contacts, and what they do, because you want to be able to follow up, because that person will remember how you presented yourself during the interview, and they will give you feedback. And it's important. That's courtesy. That's the culture that it should be. And I know that some companies are less great at it, but a lot of companies take pride in actually being an attractive place of work where people apply to. So you should always follow up with an email that gives you feedback on your interview or the way that you presented yourself, so that you know for next time. This is also really great when you cannot understand Swedish social cues. An example is that I come from a French-speaking country, and in French, we are very, very polite. We're extremely polite. That doesn't go well in Sweden, because being extremely polite, you should be polite, but don't be extremely polite, because when you are, what happens is that because it becomes a clash with the Swedish culture, it seems like you are overdoing it and that you're not genuine. But because you come from a country where politeness is valued very, very high, and the way that you present your words, you might think that you're doing something great for you, but you're not. So that's why you need to get the feedback. Swedishness is being very direct, but also very accurate on what you're saying. Stick to the matter, stick to the point, stick to the job description, and you will do great. Don't overdo it. I don't know if we have French-speaking people here, but you probably know what I mean. You also want to ask them about tips. So let's say they really, really liked you, but they had someone that just had something that they couldn't say no to, and they don't have room to hire another person. You want to ask them for tips. What can I do? Do you know of anyone that hires within the same area? do you think that there are going to be any jobs available soon? Or what else can I do to be more attractive? And sometimes they will say, well, what you missed that the other candidate had was this education or this specific course, which tells you, all right, so I need to elevate myself. It's not always about just presenting yourself as who you are. Sometimes you need to do something else to elevate yourself. So if they say, oh, you need a course in, I don't know, back end something IT. I'm not an IT person, but let's say that that's what they want. Then that's what you need to study. So your next plan or your strategy should be, how do I get that knowledge so that I can be more attractive on the work field? Because not only are you are on the work field with people who speak the language, but you are also competing with people, with a lot of people due to the pandemic. So you have to bring something extra. You have to trust that what you bring is important, and you have to know how to sell it. So you have to have an understanding of yourself and what you can offer. When you don't have an understanding of yourself and what you can offer, it will show. And if you don't know how to present yourself or what you may offer to the company, there's no need for them to even look at your application. I know it sounds hard, but that's life. All right. Do we have any questions?
No, it's not any questions, but Michel agrees with you. He writes, yes, he's a French speaking, and she's right. You are right. Absolutely right. When you're talking about the culture and how to present yourself. Massimo writes like this. Have applied to a company on several jobs future on Arbetsförmedlingen job bank. As it's not in the culture or politeness to answer, what would you suggest to do? Did you understand what I said?
So if I understand right, you applied for several jobs through Arbetsförmedlingen.
Yeah.
And now they've said no, and you wonder if it's okay for you to answer back. Is that what I'm getting? Please type if that's so.
Not to a specific company. We can ask Massimo if he can start your microphone and tell what you mean.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Welcome for your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I have applied to a company which has small hotels in Kalmar and the region around, but I understand it's a national company. And I have already applied to 3 different jobs they are featuring on Arbetsförmedlingen, but they never answer. They don't even acknowledge my job search. So what do you suggest to do with these companies that don't even reply to the people who looks for a job with them?
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And I will ask you to cut off your mic so it doesn't become like a round sound. If someone doesn't answer back for your application, this happens. It's not normal courtesy, but it happens. And you have to make the decision yourself if you think that you still want to pursue it and contact the company through their phone number or their emails. So you could call the reception because you said that you called a hotel. You could call the reception and ask for at least the feedback or know if they got your email. And sometimes when you're applying for 60, 100, 200 jobs, this becomes something that takes a toll on you. And what I need to remember, maybe you should write it on a post-it as you are applying for jobs, is that it only takes one person to say yes. So you just need one person out of all the 100 people that you apply to, you just need one person to say yes. So try that to keep your motivation up, because as I'm saying, I'm giving you concrete tips, but I know that it takes a toll on you, okay? So I hope that this answers your question. Just keep on pushing. If they don't answer, that's it. It is like that. Sometimes people don't choose you, and hard, but you just have to move on. I hope it.
Thank you, Therese. Yes,
yeah.
you answered my question. But well, as you said, it's really a lack of courtesy, and maybe it's a cheap hotel chain. If I am hired as a receptionist there and I don't even say hi or good morning to the people, then reflects the company policy not to answer to jobs. Anyhow, that doesn't demotivate me. Thank you for the seminar. Anyhow, thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so next slide, because we have a couple of minutes left, unfortunately, due to technical issues. So spontaneous email to the company. So for example, you went to a restaurant and you really like that restaurant and you like the service and you like the atmosphere and you're like, I could work here. This happens to me a lot. So what you want to do is that you want to find the right person, just as I said with calling. You want to find the right person. You want to identify what they need in the company, and then try to identify a problem that you could probably solve, or a problem that you think would be fun for you to work with. And then that's your advertising point. So let's say I've worked in restaurants before. So whenever I go to like, is the layout good? Is the name of the cakes or the food, is it right? Do I have access to cutlery, or is it always finished? Do the table looks bad? If that's the case, I will always say that I've been in the restaurant and I see that you guys might struggle with someone that will come and pick up the plates very fast, and I could do that because I have great hands that can carry many plates, and I am very, very fast. That's a way to sell yourself. So if you see a company and you're like, oh, your website is very messy, I could help you with that. That's your selling point. So you have to find what is valuable from your side and what is going to be valuable to the company. So tell them what kind of job you're looking for, what you want to know about the place, or what you think that you know about the place, and also your competence. And in that spontaneous email, you want to ask for a meeting. So you want to tell them, for example, here's a suggestion for a meeting Wednesday at 3 o'clock. That gives them the opportunity to see that you're a very hands-on person. And also it makes them check their calendar, and it's easier to suggest a new time with 2-3 clicks than it is to call up someone. After you've sent the email, you want to give it 1 or 2 days and then call, and if they haven't answered. So you want to call them back and say, hi, I sent a spontaneous application with an email where I described what I would want to do and that I wanted to work with you. I was wondering if you got it and if we could book a new time. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Yet? No?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
When you contact a company, should you give them references also?
This is a personal thing. Usually in Sweden, the culture is to give references after you've been called to an interview, because the references is only if they find you suitable for the company. It's not for them to check if you're like, before it, they don't have a need to check if you're good for the company or not. But after they've spoken to you and they think that you're interesting, they want to know if you can work within a company or how you work, and that's when they're going to look for references. So I would say hand in your references directly after the interview, and we will get to that. So you will have to send out a thank you email after an interview. Hope I answered the question. So I'm going to the next one, and this one is to knock doors. We are in a pandemic, so please don't knock doors. But you can always, knocking door can also be in another term, just trying to ask anybody that you know. If you're unemployed, you want to ask everyone, all right? I see that Chidima is asking a question. Do you want to ask the question?
Yes, Therese.
Yes.
Is it possible for someone not to have a reference? Probably I worked in my country before coming to Sweden. Can I give can I make the company over there in my country my reference? Can I put them as a reference?
Absolutely, you can do that because people can still contact each other through the internet. So if you would give your reference from your country, you need to make sure that there's a stable communication line. So for example, you could tell them, you can reach my references through this number on Skype or on Microsoft Teams. Please book a time with them so that you can contact them if that would be the case. So just make sure that the communication and the logistics of contacting that reference is firm so that it doesn't land on the company that you're applying for, but more likely on your side, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other question? No?
Yes, we have a question from Carolina.
Yeah.
She writes like this, but when I applied to DB Schenker, they asked for references.
Yes. So if they ask for references, you should definitely give it. If they don't ask for references, you need to wait until you've gotten to the interview. That was the short answer.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So you're not knocking doors, but what I do, for example, as a coach, wherever I go, I ask them if they need someone. Okay. Look at the place and be like, oh, do you need someone? Do you need an intern? Do you need someone that could do packing? Because that's how you do it. You ask and you knock on doors until someone opens. You have to be relentless. I was knocking on so many doors before I got this job. And even when I got the job, I took my time. I went to Kuranova's website and I called all coaches until 1 or 2 coaches answered me. And I asked them about how it was to work for Kuranova. I asked them what the day looked like, what they should do, how is administrative work. I asked them so many questions. So when I came to the interview, I already knew more than my interviewer was telling me about the company. And that's because I like to be prepared. And also it's a pandemic. You have to be aggressive in your way of applying jobs. You have to stand out and make yourself visible amongst the 600 applications that they get. That's what it's looking like today. So also, if you're getting demotivated, please remember that we are in a pandemic and Sweden has gone from almost 0 unemployment numbers to higher unemployment numbers. So now they just have like a surplus of people that are looking for jobs. They're very qualified and that are actually, some of them would take less pay than what the job requires just in order to have a job. So the competition is tough, but it's not impossible. If there's a will, there's a way. That's what I say to people. So you can do a spontaneous application directly on a company's website. So as you can see here on the picture, you see work at ICA. You have different companies. So you just type in spontaneous application, or in Swedish, spontan ansökan. And these are things that you should ask your coach wherever you are. Ask your coach about how you could do this. And this could be one part of your weekly conversations, right? We are here for you. So any questions that you have regarding looking for jobs, you should always ask your coaches. Social media. Some of you might like social media, some of you don't like social media. But as you can see on the picture, it's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, and Pinterest. Find companies that are very hip. Most companies have Facebook, but they might not be as active on Facebook. Some people are more active on LinkedIn. And one thing that I do when I go on LinkedIn, if I look at a company, you can always look for the people that work at the company, their employees. So when you click on their employees, you will see what they've worked with before to see if there's a pattern of what you need to be applying for, or what the qualifications that you need in order for you to come into the company. So let's say you're applying for a job that is very, that requires more knowledge that requires maybe a PhD or a master's or anything else, a bachelor or whatever. You want to go through that company and then look at the employees and then see what they've done in order for you to understand, I might be missing something. Maybe if I take 4-8 weeks to actually learn this specific task or learn this specific whatever it is, I might have better chances to get a job. You want to like and interact with the companies. You want to follow them to understand. And as I was saying before, you want to follow them to understand where you might fit in the company and what you can give them. Right? Any questions? No? Yes?
No, there's no questions.
Yeah.
Wrote skills here. I don't know if you're looking for the word skills.
Yes.
Michelle writes, respect for your tips and advices. Despite the technical problems, you handle it like a pro. Great.
Thank you. I'm really trying. I was like, this is, it's never fun when technical issues don't work, but I hope that you guys had patience with me. And if there's anything that you didn't understand, please just, you can always email me on Kuronova. You have all the contacts for the coaches, and I work in the Jönköping area. So that's how you reach me. But please email me, do not call me. I am probably in calls, but if you email me, to your own coach. Use your coach. Okay, so the last one and the most important one, as it says in Swedish, is våga, våga, våga. So you want to just have the courage to do it. You want to have the courage to apply. You want to have the courage to apply despite the fact that you don't have other things. It's just like other things in love. You do stuff despite not being ready. So just have the courage, gather the courage. And if you're struggling with the courage or the motivation or anything, ask your coach. See if there are other things that you need to be doing or other routines that you need to be doing for you to have a better motivation and to lift yourself up. My motivation and what I say to my clients is that you cannot apply for jobs if you don't feel well about yourself. So make sure that that's a priority, even though the situation is hard. Unemployment is hard. I've been unemployed several times and it's the worst, but you still have to make sure that you take care of yourself. You understand what you're going through and also have grace with yourself. Understand that you're only human. But also because you are human, you do have to push yourself more and try and find those jobs that are hard. And one other thing that I say and that I said in the beginning is learn the language. If you're planning on staying in Sweden, learn the language. There's nothing else. This is Swedish culture. They feel more comfortable when you understand the language. And it's the same. If someone came to my country and spoke my language, I would feel more comfortable hiring them or having a conversation. And also just be kind to yourself, okay? So I think that's the end of the presentation. We finally made it, guys, in time, I think. Kind of, yes, we did. Great. So do you have any further questions? I will answer any questions.
There is no more questions, but Graham writes again, before applying for a job, you should learn to speak and read Swedish. And it's like you said right now, too.
Yes. But I don't want to discourage you. There are jobs that take in people that don't speak Swedish. Just do as I say, ask and you shall receive. It's better to ask and have the opportunity than to assume and never know if it would have been something great.